You're listening to Rise Above, a Rogers Behavioral Health podcast, where we sit down with Rogers experts who are changing the way the world views mental health and addiction. Hello and welcome, listeners. Thank you for tapping the play button on another episode of Rise Above. Today, I wanted to talk about the summer months. More specifically, summer months if you're a parent. Now, summer can be a great time for family bonding, but it also comes with its own special challenges, whether it's managing your kids' activities, balancing work and family time, just trying to find moments for yourself when kids are always at home and there's always the next event. There's always something to do coming up on the horizon. So in this episode, I wanted to dive into compassion resilience for parents, how to give yourself a little grace in the summer. And so with that, let's welcome our guest, Dr. Heather Jones, Vice President of Clinical Services here at Rogers Behavioral Health. Dr. Jones, thank you so much for joining me again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me, Andy.
So we're talking right now, it is spring break for my kids, and we're on like day 4. And I am already kind of burned out.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes me a bad parent, but I think that is relevant because we are talking about burnout in the summer. I'm looking summer, that's going to be 3 months of this.
Yeah.
So why do I experience so much burnout at these times?
Yeah. Great question. Let me just start by saying, no, you are not a bad parent. You are a human. And even as this might come as a surprise to some people, even as parents, we can have human emotions and reactions.
We are allowed.
Stressful times. We are allowed. I love that we're having this conversation today. I think, to your point, it is very timely. We are experiencing some spring break and time with our kids. And by the time we have listeners, it will be summer. And the transition to what are we doing and how are we managing, parenting, and all of the other things of life will be in full swing. So would love to set the stage with talking and sharing a little bit about in August 2024, the U.S. Surgeon General issued an advisory on parental mental health. So this conversation could not be more timely. In it, an estimated 48% of parents feel that on any given day, they are, quote, completely overwhelmed and reporting record levels of loneliness compared to the general population. So that could either feel validating, like, yep, or lead people to be like, whoa. And we kind of know correlating factors include things like financial burdens, safety concerns in the world, impact of social media, a growing number of children and adolescents that are themselves experiencing challenges with mental health. So this conversation is an important one.
And one thing that I have, it's kind of a new phrase to me, but compassion resilience has been brought up when it comes to this burnout thing with parents. What exactly is compassion resilience?
So Kristen Neff publishes quite a bit. If anyone is looking for a book, podcast, etc., Kristen Neff is a great place. She has founded her career on compassion resilience. And so she defines self-compassion as treating ourselves with kindness, recognizing our shared humanity, practicing mindfulness in order to buffer and combat against stress. And so it's really identifying those things that we can do to sustain our resilience when we are in a position of taking care of other people.
So like a parent taking care of other people.
Like a parent, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So why does summer add stress as a parent?
Well, it's, as I mentioned, it's a time of transition. So even now, as you and I are having this conversation in the early spring, I like when this topic comes up, I am reminded of cognitive load or invisible labor. I don't know if you've heard either of these terms. So So it refers to the mental effort required to manage numerous tasks and responsibilities associated with parenting. So unseen mental work, planning, organizing,
Mm,
anticipating. So I'll give you a personal example of, you know, maybe not right now, but on a daily, maybe on a daily basis, but then as we're looking into summer, what we're experiencing as parents. So, do we have enough taco shells for dinner? Did I thaw the hamburger last night? How much milk do we have? Do I have presents for that birthday party? What time is that birthday party? Is that birthday party this weekend, next weekend? What's the deadline for signing up for summer camp? Who's going to watch my kids? Who's going to pick them up? Did I pick up the dry cleaning? Did I feed the dog this morning? When does that proposal due at work? Is that meeting going to conflict with my daughter's dentist appointments? Is volleyball camp starting? Who's going to pick them up for that?
you're giving me
Yeah.
anxiety just
Yeah.
hearing this. Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Right, but I mean, we're going into summer, and a lot of us right now are experiencing this like, okay, we're transitioning. Maybe we've got a great
Mm,
summer plan and we're all buttoned up, but a lot of that registration, the camps, the transportation, that in and of itself is just overwhelming, the logistics, because
sure.
the maintenance of everything that we're doing now, our jobs, the laundry, cleaning, doesn't change in the summer.
Right.
It
But the
stays
but the
constant.
school year offers like structure that you
Right.
kind of base all of this other stuff around. All of a sudden in the summer, there's less of that structure, and so there's more things to worry about on a daily basis.
And the level of responsibility for that structure shifts solely to us as parents.
Sure. Yep. Instead of, I mean, I know with my kids, they're at the age where they don't go to daycare in the summer anymore.
Mhm.
So it's not, it's more of a they wake up and they're like, what are we doing today? And I'm like, well, I am working.
Yeah.
What are you doing today?
And I think in this time when I think parents feel maybe a sense of responsibility or burden or pressure to recreate that school structure in the summertime for their kids, camps, activities, like I think maybe we've talked about this in previous conversations, but um our kids don't experience a lot of boredom that breeds creativity
Mm,
and an ability to maybe find ways to entertain themselves outside of screens.
sure. Right. So, okay, as a parent, is there a solution to avoiding burnout?
Yes. So let's talk about what burnout is and defining burnout. So
Hmm.
burnout as technically defined, I guess, is the emotional, physical, and mental exhaustion caused by excessive and prolonged stress. So this could look like feeling tired, feeling exhausted. Um, as parents, this you asked me the question, what do we do to avoid it? And we know we want to avoid it because it's leading to irritability, emotional reactivity, cynicism. It actually can reduce our productivity and our motivation to do things. So when we start talking about spending more time with our children or opportunity to spending more time with children, but our responsibilities have remained consistent and our cognitive load has increased, it really places parents in a position of kind of a no-win situation that this is more stressful for me and I'm supposed to show up in a way that is, fostering my relationship and you know,
Right.
helping to grow my children into good humans. So some strategies
Yeah.
talking about what can we do, what can parents do during this time. Um, So scheduling our own self-care, scheduling, I know we talk about this and then it's like, yeah, right. But
Mm,
um, one thing that will help us as parents during this time is to make sure that our kids also have some responsibility. So
mm,
things like involving kids in age appropriate chores. What responsibilities do they take on, right? You had said your kids are home. What are they doing that you don't have to do anymore?
mm. Okay, I like that.
Take the trash cans out to the
I,
curb.
I won't trust them with dinner, but maybe I'll trust them with to feed the fish.
Sure. There you go. There you go. And prioritizing sleep and healthy meals, um, setting limits and boundaries. I think those things are important even in the summertime. Summertime can kind of feel like, all no rule time, but making sure that we all prioritize those, having a consistent schedule will help with our emotional well-being as parents and for our children.
And we will be right back. Everyone deserves a chance for recovery. That's what drives Rogers Behavioral Health Foundation. They're helping people get the mental health care they need, from covering treatment costs for those in need, to building clinics where care is hard to find, to funding cutting edge research. They're making real change happen. And guess what? You can help. Head to rogersbhfoundation.org and be part of creating a future where mental health and wellness thrive. And now back to the interview. I start thinking about the added pressure that I get, just hoping and wanting my kids to have a summer to remember, right? I remember summers growing up. Summers are great. I hope my kids feel like summers are great after summer is over. So what can I do to alleviate some of that pressure?
When I think back to summers, growing up, I don't know that my parents were overwhelmed with scheduling every moment of my day. And you had kind of said, like, sort of a free for all, right? Like, summer's a time where our kids don't have certain pressures of school. And one of the things that contributes to our burnout is these expectations, self-criticism, which fuels stress, that I'm not doing enough as a parent to do X, Y, and Z for my child. I want them to have the perfect summer. I want them to have the summer to remember. And that that burden that we're putting on ourselves is a contributing factor. So preventing some of that burnout means that we're inserting a little bit more self-compassion and maybe taking moments to say, my kids are home. I get to be home with my kids. I am working, but I get to be here. And I
Mhm.
actually get more moments and FaceTime with them than I ever did with my own parents. I might be here. And so they can go and do whatever they want and know that I'm here in case they need me.
Mhm. And I think maybe it's important to keep in mind. We talked about it earlier before we recorded about how when you go on vacation, oftentimes your kids' favorite moments are like swimming in
Yeah,
the pool at the hotel and
that's
not
right.
like all the special stuff you had planned. So maybe we're putting more pressure on ourselves to make sure things are special when the kids are gonna find fun, right?
Right. Right. And that compassionate piece, I think that our ability to practice self-compassion can actually translate to our kids developing this skill during tough times.
Hmm.
So, even sharing and saying like, gosh, we're going to summer. I'm working. We've scheduled some things, but I want you to have a great summer. And I'm feeling some stress about, whether I've done enough as your parent. Obviously, age appropriate, developmentally appropriate conversations with kids, but that acknowledgement of your our feelings as parents modeled for our children can allow them to be able to understand the way that they feel and understand stress, and it's just a really great opportunity to model leaning into that mental wellness during a stressful time.
You're setting an example that they might take with them for life.
Right.
So don't freak out, don't
Exactly.
stress out. This is very, very important
Right.
to not
Absolutely.
stress out. Um,
Absolutely.
so, are there warning signs as a parent that burnout is approaching, or does it just appear?
There are warning signs, and some of these we've talked about earlier, but
Hmm.
warning signs of burnout are feeling tired, feeling exhausted, Feeling emotionally irritable or reactive,
Mm,
feeling a sense of detachment. So this is one I think as parents, as a parent, I feel especially attuned to when I don't feel like spending time with my children,
yep.
right? And like all the guilt and shame and yuck that I experience. And really it's not because I don't love them and want to spend time with them. It is that I'm overwhelmed.
Hmm.
And so those are things that I would ask parents to just be watchful of and mindful of.
Well, yeah, and you say that, but I've definitely experienced that before. But then I have to remember, like in my childhood, you do need time to yourself as a kid. Like, don't feel bad that you're not always playing with them, or give them their space as well. Because when they're older, they're gonna want that space, and
Yep,
give them some when they're younger to discover who they are.
absolutely. Go
So
for
you
it.
talked about like setting an example for your kid about managing stress and compassion. But is there something you can do more than setting an example, like actively teaching them about compassion and kindness?
Yeah, what's fascinating to me, Andy, is that children as young as 5 have the ability to consider the perspectives of others.
Hmm.
And so I think even that young, talking about their observations of other people's emotional reactions. So whether that's me saying like, you know, I need to take a break because I'm feeling overwhelmed right now. I need to take a break because I'm feeling frustrated.
Mm,
But then also asking them about the around the dinner conversation when we're like, how was school today? Fine. And then just move on. But asking questions like, hey, what was something that was challenging that happened at school today? Did any of your friends have a hard day? And how do you think they felt in that moment? And, would you have felt embarrassed if that would have happened to you? And just continuing to have feeling conversations
yeah,
with our kids. And I think it's helpful to start at that young age because starting at 12 is like, ugh,
right.
ew. I don't want to talk to you about this. But when it becomes part of the routine, it is just normalizing that we talk about emotions and how we feel and how we observe other people react.
More of a more of a question that needs an answer that isn't fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Exactly. Not a one word answer
I wonder if there's
question.
a phrase for active questions, But yes,
Yeah,
getting them to think about other people in their lives through
sure.
the questions, right? That
Sure.
makes sense.
And
Um,
questions that start, you'd mentioned this, but questions that start with like, how do you think? Or, what would you have said if? And, as opposed to, do you like ice cream? No. Yes.
who says no?
I don't know. Terrible example.
And we will be right back. Real quick, I wanted to take a moment to talk to you about WISE, the Initiative for Stigma Elimination. It unites people across the nation to support those touched by mental illness and addiction. The compassionate approach champions personal stories and powerful connections, fostering healing by reducing stigma through evidence based practices. Rogers Behavioral Health supports the work of WISE through their Community Learning and Engagement Department. WISE collaborates with a diverse network of organizations and individuals united in the fight against stigma. You can learn more about WISE, explore their 4 key programs, and connect with them by visiting the website www.eliminatestigma.org. And now back to the interview. Here we are. We're living in summer, and we are trying to stay positive. Are there ways that you would suggest in order to stay positive and motivated
Yes.
when you're around your kids?
Yes.
That sounds like a terrible question, but it's a relevant question, and
It's a
parents
relevant
understand that.
question. And let's practice some self-compassion to say it's okay to be a human. It's okay to be a human in the face of our children and say that we're frustrated and overwhelmed and need a break.
Yeah.
And so setting reasonable expectations for ourselves
Mm,
and celebrating small wins and victories. So, making a chore list. And, if some of those chores get done during the day, that's awesome. Um, One thing is, I think, setting reasonable expectations about fun activities and the number of outings and the things that you need to schedule and the things that you need to do as a parent, and having it be good enough. And remember, to your very valid point earlier, our expectation of what our kids need to have fun and enjoyable experience and quality time is different than what it actually takes. All they need is a swimming pool and a hotel, not Disney
Right.
World.
Right.
So if there is something you're planning, what they really want is they want your time and attention. And at times, it can be time limited, right? But
Sure.
those moments are the moments that matter.
And you said, your time might be limited, but there's a community aspect to this, right? Like, how can you lean on your
Yes,
community or your village, if you will, to help you in these moments?
absolutely. And thank you for asking that, because it is okay to take a break.
Yeah.
It is okay to ask for help, and establishing your community of trusted adults, other parents who can help you have a play date, whether it's for 30 minutes or 3 hours, to be able to have and do what you need to do to take care of yourself as a parent, and then to reciprocate that time. Um, Family members or other people in your community, I think, being okay to have a babysitter from time to
Mm.
time if your kids are younger. Um, I know as a parent, things get busy, and we will go months and be in our routine, and really prioritizing that time to take for yourself or for you and your partner is really
Mhm.
important.
So I guess my last real question is, do you have any examples, or stories about parents who have successfully managed stress and prevented burnout, which is the question of the day?
Yes. I have worked with a lot of parents, and there's one mom in particular. She had an extremely demanding job. She had a child that had some mental health challenges, in addition to balancing the needs of the rest of her family. And so we talked about scheduling, and this is probably going to sound silly, but we talked about scheduling 15 minutes of quiet time.
Hmm.
That's it, 15 minutes of quiet time every day. She chose to use the morning, so she would get up a little bit earlier, and it was uninterrupted, non-productive, non-work, non-task time. And she used that time to practice mindfulness, engage in enjoyable activity, journal, maintain a list of things that she was grateful for. And so that was really, it was it was big, because if you think about 15 minutes, usually in our lives, like, I'll take every 15 minutes I can get. And so to carve out that time to have quiet to start her day, it made a major difference for her. Two other things:
Hmm.
identifying a support person, and that could be someone that doesn't even have to know that they're your support person, but that is your person in your neighborhood that's willing to take a walk with you when you text or call them and say, hey, can we take a walk around the block?
Sure.
And the last, and this gets back to the mental load we talked about earlier, is structured communication with her spouse. So often on the weekends, she would have a list of personal and familial expectations that she wanted to accomplish, right? She would come home, during the week, she was working a lot. She would come home and have these expectations in her brain of all the things that she wanted to have happen or that needed to happen.
Right.
Except she wouldn't communicate those things, but they would, she would do them. She would maybe ask for help throughout the weekend, but it would just build and build and build and build and build. And essentially she would be left at the end of the weekend or at the end of the day on a weekend day feeling as if she didn't accomplish what she intended to,
Mm.
which led to her feeling overwhelmed. So communication with her spouse meant that they would make a list on Friday night or as the week went on of the things that they wanted to do, get done. And it could be enjoyable things too. I want to get these things done so we can go, you know, to the library or want to go and like go to the concert or do whatever. And that was really helpful in sharing the load of responsibility in her life.
So I guess communication about what you expect to. All right.
Yeah, asking for help, however we navigate through that very, very challenging behavior can be critical.
This is all really good advice. Dr. Jones, thank you so much for taking your time. And I can't wait till next time.
Likewise. Thanks, Andy.
Well, listener, I hope you found some tips that you can use as you navigate the busy summer season. Don't forget, carve out some time for yourself, set realistic expectations, lean on your support network, prioritize your well-being a little bit, And if you do, hopefully you'll be better equipped to enjoy the special moments with your loved ones this summer. So thanks again for listening to Rise Above, a podcast from Rogers Behavioral Health. Be sure to like and subscribe to be notified of new episodes. And as always, if you or someone you care about is struggling with a mental health or substance use disorder, visit rogersbh.org for a free mental health screening.